body camera footage obtained by The Intercept shows a Staten Island police officer apparently planting marijuana in a car during a traffic stop. The incident comes just a few weeks after a similar one.
Here, freedom fighters. I'm back with another one. Today's topic is going to be why they want you drugged up, high as a kite, and stoned as a rock. This is kind of like part 2 to a video I did just a couple back about why they want you sad and depressed. And it's basically another trap, another avenue to strip you of your rights and your freedoms. And like in that other video, I mentioned how celebrities and the media and culture try to push this, especially on the youth. And you got your singers and stuff like that, your artists, you got your Snoop Dogs, and it's in all the movies and stuff these days. And, like Half-Baked, and then you got your teenage party movies, kind of like Superbad or American Pie, stuff like that. And I mean, it's nothing new. They've had this, Willie Nelson back in the day, or Cheech and Chong, stuff like that. But yeah, basically another trap and avenue to strip you of your rights. And then possibly even your life. I mean, look at the Tuttles. I don't know if you guys remember that case, but he was targeted by a CI, or I can't remember if it was just an undercover cop, or if it was this. I'm pretty sure it was a CI. But yeah, they were planning on planting some stuff on him, and he gave a bogus claim that he was selling, and then committed a no-knock on his place and killed his dog, which of course is their MO. And then shot it out with him and killed him and his wife. And then they ended up doing an investigation, and I'm pretty sure the cop had the stuff in his car and like some stolen firearms, and I can't remember the exact everything in that case. But yeah, they were planning on doing that raid, saying this is what he was doing and planting the stuff on him. And they ended up doing an investigation, and I think they caught that cop and the CI and like 6 or 7 other people involved in that. They were all in it. But again, your boys in blue, they're all good. They're your heroes. Well, they were all down to commit that atrocity. Where were the good ones at that said, no, we're not going to go along with this, or we're going to rat you out to our superiors and not let you do this to people? No, they were nowhere to be found. They all hopped in on the scheme. And that's what most of this stuff is. It's a scheme, and it's a state revenue trap. And that's mostly what it's about. It's about just targeting people getting state revenue. You saw in that opening clip, and that cop's been caught multiple times placing weed in people's cars. And I mean, in that case, it's probably a little misdemeanor or a ticket in most cases. But if it was anything harder, that's a felony charge. And that's going to strip you of your rights. And people have been known to do that. And people know that. There was a famous case. You can look this one up. It was on Dr. Phil. And it was a PTA mom. And I forget what she said. She was like at a meeting or something. Someone didn't like what she said. And they planted some prescription pills in her car. And then made an anonymous call. And got her arrested. And she said she lost her house and her job and, everything. What she didn't say is, her rights. Because who knows if she was even practicing those rights. But she definitely lost those as well. Well, eventually it ended up coming out that they did that. I forget how they caught this couple. But a couple planned it out. And then she ended up winning like millions of dollars in a countersuit or something. So yeah, but and then there was another one on Dr. Phil actually. I remember this one episode. It might have been the same episode, but it was of a cop that wrote a book. He's an author now, and he wrote the book with his victim. And same thing, I'm pretty sure that guy went to prison and all this stuff, and that's what happens, man. And it's all over state revenue. And like I said, people know this. It's a common theme. People have a feud with a neighbor, and they put some seeds in their yard or something, or put a couple plants out back and make an anonymous call and say, hey, I don't know if you guys know, but these guys are, growing stuff back there, and they're doing that. And then they go, no, knock your neighbor, and charge them with a whole bunch of shit. And that's basically what it's about. Like I said, it's another trap. And, people say it's not even really about what they can do to you, especially guys. They're like, men are like, you want to screw with me, like, you want to fight, like, we'll fight it out. It's about what they can do to your kids, what they can do to your grandkids, what they can do to your great-great-grandkids that you might not even have yet, that you don't even know of. But one day, a uniform and a badge picks them to make some state revenue. And then put something in your car. And like I said, you'll be lucky if it's weed. Because if something else, I mean, they're fucked. I mean, their whole life's fucked. Their future, their career. They're probably going to spend time in prison. And they're going to lose their rights. Their ability to protect themselves and their future family forever. I mean, you're not always going to be around to protect these people. You might be able to protect your kids. You ain't going to protect your grandkids or your great-grandkids. This is the future that we're, putting up ahead of time. And I'll kind of do another video on that. But also, surprise, surprise. Is anyone surprised that these same politicians and these states that are anti-gun are always pro-drug? Example, California. Like, they were probably the first ones to legalize it. And then Gavin Newsom is obviously, like, beyond anti-gun. Well, that's why. New York and stuff like that. New York just had a commercial come out where they got crack pipes and vending machines now. Well, of course they do, because that's what they want you to do. And then Lauren Southern actually did an interview with Tucker, like right before he was fired, where he said up in Canada, they have all kinds of legalized stuff, even the harder stuff. And, they ain't got no rights up there. So that's what they want. They want you drugged up. They want you high and stupid. And no rights. And they want you in your pod. And you eat Z-bugs. You slave peasant. That's the plan they have for you. And I mean, my libertarian side here, and I mean, I'm not any saint. I've done this stuff. I dabbled when I was in high school and stuff like that. I was a wild child. I've always been a high-strung person with anxiety and stuff. And with me, it was like, I didn't get scared straight or anything. It was just, it stopped working for me. I didn't like the way it made me feel. I like to be clear-headed. So I stopped. But that's the choice I want for others as well. Like, that's the definition of freedom, being able to make choices for yourself. And, I mean, I'm not completely sober. Like, I have a drink every once in a while. Maybe like New Year's or 4th of July, on my birthday. if you get a good camping trip together and you're with your buddies, a nice whiskey and a cigar at the campfire, that's always good times. But that's my libertarian side of me too, where I'm just like, people should be able to be free to do as they choose. And I remember Ron or Rand, it was one of them, Ron or Rand, said they were in favor of legalizing even harder stuff, because they said, what are you afraid of? Like, your mom or your sister are gonna go out and go get this stuff? Like, they legalize it, and tomorrow you think your sister's just gonna go grab it? Like, she's been waiting, she's been dying to go get a hold of this stuff. No, the people who are in that mindset are already using this stuff. They're already doing it. The law be damned. And putting harsher punishments on people for it are just enslaving other people. And ultimately, your children in the future. Which, like I said, I have to do a future video on that. And the hypocrisy runs abound. I mean, I see it a lot where I have a short on here with Jesse Waters and the spokeswoman from the NRA, I think Dana Lash. And during one of these mental health things, one segment before, they were talking about Biden coming for the Second Amendment and all this stuff. And then they started talking about the Covington Catholic event. And they're like, oh, everyone knew this person's crazy. They should have red flagged her and taken her rights away and take the guns. And I'm like, you guys are pure hypocrites. You say, you're for your rights, and then the next sentence they're asking for more government control and stripping of people's rights. And there was this one story on Fox, I remember they had this dad on, and he wrote a book, I think, called Only One Pill, or it was like The First Pill. And his son was in some pain, and they got all these black markets now on Instagram and all that stuff. The kids can buy whatever. So he went and got something he thought was a pain med, and it turned out to be fentanyl. And they said it was his first time ever doing that, his first time taking anything, and he died. And then they were like, they made it into this big old thing where it was like, oh, this is so sad and all, and it is sad. I'm not saying that it's not sad. It's real sad. But what they don't realize is the obverse, or the reverse of that situation, where he was just driving home, getting ready to, go home and maybe take it later, and then he gets pulled over for, I don't know, not putting on his blinker, running a stop sign. And then they find it. And like I said, all that stuff happens that I said before. He loses his rights. And then all of a sudden the attitude changes from these people. Then they're like, oh, criminal, scumbag, felon, drug addict, piece of shit. Throw him in prison, strip him of his rights. But then when they die, they're like, oh, it's such a sad story and we need harsher punishments. People don't see the hypocrisy in it. And then they always think like, oh, not my kid. Little Johnny is such a good boy and he'll never do it. And he goes to private school. He goes to Catholic school. And I tell him not to do it. There's no such thing. It's everywhere. Everybody's exposed. Your kids will be exposed. Your grandkids will be exposed. I forget that one sheriff's name. He's like real popular and he's all into politics, but his kid was like a drunk and he had tons of DUIs. There's another sheriff's kid that was into drugs. Politicians' kids into drugs. I mean, on and on. There's no getting away from it. With that being said, we are on our own. No one's coming to save you. Only God can save you, so get right with God. Freedom fighters out.